Hello friends, welcome back. Today we are going to look at authentication strategies. A strategy is a way of authenticating a user. You can use this strategy for allowing users to authenticate based on locally saved information if you have them registered first, or from a variety of providers such as Google or GitHub. For this project, we will set up a local strategy. To see a list of hundreds of strategies, visit Passport's site here. So if we go to Passport here, we can say, well, it looks like there's 500 plus strategies. So the way, like, you know, when you go to a website and it says log in using your GitHub account or log in using your Facebook account, that's what this is. So, you know, the first one that they show is Facebook. There's 74,000 implementations of this. And so this would be the strategy for using Facebook to create it. So you would install Passport Facebook, and then you would put this inside of your authentication strategy. And so the various ones are going to have different levels of complexity and usefulness. So add Passport Local as a dependency and add it to your server as follows. As a dependency. Okay, cool. So how do we add Passport Local as a dependency? We come over here, we go to package.json, and we can say, well, let me see. I want to go npm.js. Let's see if there's any special things to adding Passport Local. Passport Local, npm install Passport Local, and then they just tell you to do this. Local strategy. Oh, is this the same? Error, verify password, return null done. Oh, cool. This is the exact same thing. Okay, so yeah. So npm tells us that we can just go npm install. And yeah, let's do that. So npm install Passport Local. And again, I am in PWD. You can see we're in the Advanced Node and Express project that we set up earlier. So npm. Cool. So now we've got and now, if we look back at our package.json, we can see Passport Local has been added, which is good news. So Passport Local as a dependency and add it to your server. So we want to add this to our server. So we go to our server file, which is right here on the main thing. And, well, Passport Local. I'm thinking it's because it's with Passport. Let's add it right here at the top. And so I'm going to save that. And now we will have to tell Passport to use an instantiated local strategy object with a few settings defined. So local strategy instantiation object. Make sure, now I think that we just did that, right? Yeah, local strategy is created. So with a few settings defined, make sure this, as well as everything from this point on, is encapsulated in the database connection since it relies on it. Okay, so let's copy this, and function username password done. You can see function username password done, user find one username, function error user. This is the exact same thing as on the documentation. So we'll just copy this, and it says make sure this, as well as everything from this point on, is encapsulated in the database connection since it relies on it. Okay, so here's our database connection. This is what we did last time. And so first off, we say this is if it's successful, and then this is if it's unsuccessful. This is something that we want this strategy to exist if we're successful. And so my guess is we're going to just throw it in right here. After the instantiation, or after the deserialization and the serialization options. Cool. So now I'm just going to save this, and let's keep going. So make sure that this, as well as everything from this point on, is encapsulated in the database connection. Okay. And so basically what's this? Passport.use. So it's saying that Passport, which is the library that we're using here. So it's saying use a local strategy, which we've instantiated up here. And so we're using our local strategy, and then we're passing in a function. So it gives it, this is a tool for this local strategy. So we could put more, I think, functions in here. So username, password, and done. These are the three parameters being passed in. And so now we're saying, checking the database, and we're saying find one with the username, which is being passed in from here. And then we're saying, we have a callback function, which has an error, or we're passing back a user. So Console log, user attempted to log in. So whether or not they were successful or not, we're going to console log that they attempted it. If there's an error, we're going to report the error and return, which means we're going to exit the function. If it's not the user, if they can't find the user, then they're going to say return done, null, false. So, and then if the password is unequal to the one that's being passed in from what we're finding, right? Our find one, if we find that the user.password doesn't match the password that's being passed in from here, then we're returning done, null, false. And then otherwise, if these three invalidators don't execute, then we return done and we return the user. So this function, if successful, returns the user to the local strategy. At least that's the way I understand it. First, it tries to find the user in the database with the username entered. When it checks the password to match, then finally, if no errors popped up, like an incorrect password, the user's object is returned and they are authenticated. Many strategies are set up using different settings, but generally it's easy to set it up based on the README and the strategies repository. So what do they mean by that? I mean, for this example, Facebook, it's the README in its repository. It looks like you can go to GitHub if you wanted to see Passport Facebook specifically. That link doesn't work. Copy link address. Yeah, so this is the Passport Facebook, and the README, which is this guy here on GitHub, gives you all the information about that. In the next step, many strategies. Yeah, in the next step, we will set up how to actually call the authentic strategy. So we want to submit our page if we think that we're good. So we've got git status. This tells us we've modified the JSON and we've done the server. So we want to say git add, git commit. What have we done? We add local strategy, local passport strategy dependency. And then we've also queued up or added the strategy to the database connection flow. Git push Heroku. So now I'm just pushing this code from my local machine to our development server. I don't think that this is going to change at all. Yeah, we're not going to see any changes on the production server. So this is all just back-end testing stuff. And so this is going to run, and I'm just going to speed it up real quick. Awesome. So now that we've published it, now let's go back over here. We want to take our production app URL and paste it into our solution and say we've completed the challenge. All right. Awesome. I was a little nervous about that one. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll see you in the next lesson.